Welcome back to SoldOutChat. I'm Kay, the marketing coordinator here at Above Promotions, and I'm thrilled to be joined by our fantastic marketing associate, Yasmin Pablo, as today's co-moderator. Today, we're diving into a crucial topic that every brand faces in the digital age. Don't let the trolls break you. So, in this episode, we'll be discussing essential strategies for protecting your brand's reputation online and navigating the challenges of negativity and criticism. Today, we're also thrilled to have with us again our very own CEO, Ebony Vaz, one of the few marketers in the world with an engineering degree and published research focused on human behaviors and statistical data. Hi, Ebony.
Hi, Kay.
And joining us as our special guest is Thornburg, Communications General Manager for the City of Sarasota, with over 20 years as an award winning news anchor or reporter and a nationally recognized career in government communications. Jan brings unparalleled expertise in managing public perception and navigating intense media landscapes, including leading Sarasota's communications through multiple hurricanes. Hi, Jan.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. We're really excited to have you here. So, all right, with such incredible experts with us today, let's get right into the heart of managing online brand reputation. So, this is a challenge many businesses face, and understanding how to effectively respond or not respond to online negativity is more critical than ever. So, in today's digital landscape, Jan, what exactly constitutes a troll or disruptive online negativity, and how can organizations differentiate it from legitimate customer feedback?
It's a really good question. From our perspective, a troll really is someone who is responding to a social media post quickly, frequently, and no matter what it is, the topic, they're negative. They go negative and they go hard negative. They are off topic, and typically we just don't know who they are in our community.
Yeah. I find it so interesting because when we were talking about this subject, I'm like, I have to get Jan in because some of the stories when we were on a panel earlier together this year, it was interesting. And I feel like probably even more so in today's world where everybody thinks that they can be government, they know what's best for the government. So I know you guys are getting a lot of feedback that we could probably classify as troll.
Yeah, we're very fortunate. I talk with a lot of counterparts across the country. I just returned from a statewide conference with fellow communications folks from government agencies, and some of the things that our counterparts are dealing with, it's so awful. People get behind that computer screen and they think they have this anonymity, and they're emboldened to say and do it whatever they want. And I think here in the city of Sarasota, we have an international reputation. People from around the world know us, and they come here and they visit and they want to follow our social to find out what's going on. And we're very fortunate because I would say we really only have just a handful of trolls. Sometimes they change, but we know who they are because we also have what I refer to as some frequent flyers. Those would be some of our residents that check in pretty frequently, and they may tend to go negative. But a troll for us really is somebody that we could post something and within 2 seconds they are there, they're posting, and they are negative. A good example would be we recently had a tree giveaway. And who can say anything negative about a tree giveaway?
I know. What could they possibly say?
Well, they immediately pop on and they say, well, of course you have to give away trees. It's because you're allowing the developers to chop all the trees down. If we share on social media that we are maintaining the millage rate, that property taxes are not anticipated to go up, they will immediately hop on and complain about potholes, or they may complain about the condition of a bridge that the city of Sarasota has no purview over. So it's that consistent, immediate negative response, no matter what the topic is. I have somebody on our team who likes to joke that, we could post about puppies, and we have a handful of people who would say, how dare you post about puppies?
It's so weird because you just never know know what is going to spark someone. And I think it's even worse when it's those exterior things. So like we have a customer who I guess for some reason one of the products that Google purchased, it used to be like a mapping product where they would automatically pull in restaurant menus. So this tool that Google no longer maintains, it is pulling in some random restaurant stuff. And so we've had, because of that, and we fought and fought and fought, and we haven't been able to get them to take that menu down, even though they know it's their product, even though they know, but they said there's nothing they can do about it. So we've had people to like take advantage of that and just complain, complain, and complain. Like they can't get what's on the menu that's online. But that's not even the link that leads back to the restaurant. So it's even worse when it's out of your control that people are complaining about things. I know you've got to see that all the time.
Oh, we do. I mean, we could have a days long session talking about things like that. As soon as you said something about Google, it reminded me several years ago, there was a story about vagrants, homeless in the Sarasota area. And it took off and went viral, and it was very unfortunate for several reasons. It was not accurate. The thumbnail that was used on the web page was showing a Greyhound bus and indicating that the city was busing homeless out of the community, which was completely false. We don't even have a Greyhound bus station here. And so people on the other side of the country who do not know how kind and generous and compassionate the city of Sarasota is, somebody launched an online petition. And just like that, there were tens of thousands of people who had signed a petition just letting us know how awful we were and that they needed to take action against the city of Sarasota in our position with homelessness. And I worked feverishly, Ebony, basically what you were talking about with Google. And I finally figured out how to track down that online petition, explain the reality, and we were able to successfully have that removed. But, it took about 24 hours and a lot of digging. So as you said, I mean, sometimes these things, they can take off and they can quickly spiral.
Yeah, they can.
So, Jan, in today's digital landscape, what exactly constitutes a troll or destructive online negativity, and how can organizations differentiate it from the legitimate customer feedback?
As far as, with the trolls that we were talking about, those that really jump in there immediately and they're just negative and angry no matter what, we also know who our true residents are. And our true residents, our customers, are those that they want to respond, they want to engage with the city, and they typically will either, just give us a thumbs up, or if they're making a comment, it will be on point, it will be on the subject, and it will typically be something that it's thoughtful, and they may be asking a question. And if they are critical, it will be presented more in a thoughtful manner rather than the real anger and negativity that we experience with one of the trolls. So I was talking earlier about the tree giveaway. We had a resident recently who posed a question on our tree giveaway post that they simply were asking, well, if we get the tree, where could we plant it? So they ask the questions that are thoughtful. It's not just that random anger that we experience from a troll.
So when an organization encounters negative comments or targeted attacks online, what should be its immediate go-to response strategy to prevent further damage?
Another really good question. For us with the city of depends on each comment. We monitor closely. We typically know if we'll be making a post that may possibly trigger people that might have a little bit more controversy, so we know to keep a closer eye on the comments. For example, we recently had a post back a few months ago about public art, and you can't get more controversial than public art, especially in our artist community here in Sarasota.
That's
With the exception possibly of public parking and paid parking. But I made a post, and it was late in the evening. We had just installed a beautiful new sculpture in one of our roundabouts, and so I just made a brief post, and I was checking it out, and nothing, there weren't any comments immediately, and I thought that was a little unusual. And then within 10 minutes, all of a sudden things started popping, and the very first person said, "This is beautiful." And then the second person said, yeah, I can't believe that they removed the sculpture over on Gulfstream. Now, a little bit of backstory. There is a very popular and controversial sculpture, 30-foot tall sculpture at one of our
Yeah,
local
that one.
roundabouts. People call it the kissing statue, and it is a sort of a depiction of the end of World War II, V-Day, with the sailor and the nurse kissing. The fact is, the city did not remove it. We actually relocated it about 100 yards away to make it more convenient for people to actually visit it while the roundabout was being constructed. It could not be there. So as soon as I saw that, I knew that that was misinformation, and that definitely will trigger us to make a comment. So we immediately jumped on to correct the record. And that is one of the things we absolutely want to make sure. If somebody is intentionally spreading misinformation, or maybe they're just stirring the pot, or they have very strong feelings about something, if it's on topic, if it's wrong, if it's inaccurate, we will jump on and we will make sure that we correct the record as soon as we possibly can.
And I think that's a good point that you brought up is you kind of know when you know your community, you kind of know what could possibly be a trigger for
Mm.
people. And it was made me think about the fact that we knew that prices, back in when COVID, we knew that there were supply chain issues for a client. And we knew that it was going to trigger things that could change pricing. And even now, there's things that could change pricing. And so we had to be proactive, know that we were going to get some pushback. We were going to roll it out, see what the customers said in person, and then see how that went. And then before we share anything publicly online, and then we just waited. We knew that at some point people are going to do something. And I think that's the important part of being a professional and really good at what you do, is because you kind of have to go into this planning, right? You can't
Mhm.
just make up what you're going to say. Like the day of, I wake up today, I'm going to post about, the construction on Fruitville Road or whatever it is. You have to think like, this is what's going on. And you have to plan in advance with your communications. And I think that really helps as well.
Yeah, and a lot of it, Ebony, is that planning, that anticipation of how our community will react, the questions that they'll be posing, so that we already have the answers in our back pocket. And sometimes we try to answer those within the post, and sometimes a post gets so much traction, people see everybody's commenting, they just look at a photograph that's accompanying the post, perhaps, and they ask a question that's already been addressed. So we typically know the topics that will be triggering people like that. Earlier I mentioned paid parking, and last summer we were making a few changes to paid parking, and we had a new person on the team, and I had counseled him. I said, as soon as you hit send, as soon as you publish that post, get ready, because we will be hearing from people, good, bad, and otherwise. And we want to hear it all. We like the engagement. We like to put the social in social media. It's when we hear from individuals who are intentionally saying something that's erroneous. If people don't like the idea of paid parking, we understand that, but we also will be sharing and making sure that people understand why we have paid parking, and the reasons that paid parking is necessary.
I definitely agree with that one, Chan and Ebony. That's why it's very important, especially the part where both of you mentioned about planning.
Hmm.
We actually have here at Above Promotions a white paper that Ebony has been preparing like yearly, annually. She updates that, and we have like 3 steps to do that. We have to be prepared, and then for the response, and then restore. So
Mm.
we always have to make sure that we have something prepared to tell the people how we will fix these issues that are going on to like prevent further damage. So, beyond reactive measures, what proactive strategies can organizations implement to build a strong, resilient online reputation that can withstand this negativity before a crisis hits?
Consistency, consistency, consistency. If you are building your brand, you're building a foundation, you're creating trust, you need to be consistent. You'll hear about a successful, let's say, a podcast, a magazine, a newspaper. newspaper, a newscast. You know that consistently the day and the time that they are going to be disseminated. And it's no different for me and my team about social media. When I started our social media program many years ago, I had one goal in mind, and that was to create a foundation, build a strong foundation of reliable, trustworthy communication where our community would know that they could turn to in the face of an emergency. And I wanted to make sure that they were aware of us, and that was through consistent messaging. We didn't post every day, and we still don't, but we make sure that we are reliable, we're trustworthy, day after day, week after week. They know that we're posting, and they can come to us at a message through the algorithm. If it's not getting into their feeds, they know that they can go to our social media platforms. Over the years, we've grown like everybody else. We have Facebook. Actually, our very first platform, by the way, was Twitter. We were the very first municipality
Really?
in the entire Tampa Bay region to have a Twitter account, and it did very well. Our leadership was concerned about having a Facebook account because they were concerned about possible negativity. I thought, but we need to put the social in social media. Let's see how it goes. And it went well, because when people would make a comment, we would respond. They ask a question, we would respond. And so you start building up that foundation of trust and reliability. And so the big payoff, honestly, was many years later, and that was the hurricane season of 2024, when we had 3 hurricanes in 65 days, 2 of them major storms in 13 days. You would not believe the traffic that we saw on our social media platforms. It was phenomenal. We are a city of 55,000 people, and we had 4 million hits on our social media over the course of 19 days. We gained over 12,700 social media followers, and it was because people knew that we existed. They knew that they could rely on us. They knew that they could trust us. During Hurricane Debbie, which was before the 3 other storms, so that was another one. With Hurricane Debbie, we actually had people that were posting onto our Facebook page asking for help, that the flooding was coming into their homes and they didn't know what to do. And people need us, and they knew that we were there, and we were trying to respond the best that we could. But that's the whole reason why we started to have our social media platform. So I would say, on the private sector, the business side of things, that you want to be consistent. You want your customers to know that you're there. And if somebody's asking a question, by all means, respond to it. You may not have an immediate response, but let them know that you're listening, and you're going to look into it and get back with them.
I love that what you're saying, because I have seen for organizations where, and I've seen it happen for our clients, but I've seen it happen universally, where when you're consistent, you're building that trust, and you're also building your own brand ambassadors. Because I've
Mhm.
seen where those people who consistently follow that brand online, if someone says something crazy, they'll be like, no, they posted about that 2 days ago. Yeah, they're standing up for you because you've shown them consistency, you've shown them trust. And to me, that's like a good mark of being successful. Like when you have someone else willing to stand up and battle for you before you even
Right,
have time to respond to
right.
the troll.
You're absolutely right. And sometimes that happens on our pages, that somebody will make a comment that you just kind of go, let's just wait and let's see how this plays out. And, sometimes it might be within 30 minutes, somebody else will step in. Again, back to the tree example, somebody might say, you're wasting money. You're wasting our tax dollars on giving away trees. And we just pause, and somebody else will step in with the correct response. It's not tax dollars. And trees are really good for the environment, and we're building a more
Yes.
urban canopy. And again, if it's accurate and it's coming from another residence, I say bravo. That's absolutely wonderful. For, like you said, it's a great brand ambassador.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
actually totally agree with the consistency, because for me, I am actually an avid user of social media. That's why I am in this space. So there are times that there are actually a lot of groups where I am in, and I am definitely a consumer. So when people are like booking a certain service, or like Airbnb, things like that, or they wanted to order like set meals from a certain restaurant, they will like take a screenshot of the page of this certain business, and then they will post it in that group, and then they will say legit check. That's what we call it here in the Philippines. They're having a legit check, and then people who have been a previous customer of that person is just going to say, oh, they are legit or they are a scam, do not talk with them, something like that. So it's definitely important to be consistent and ensure that you are showing a really good reputation for your brand, because I don't know anyone who still doesn't have social media right now.
Right, right.
What are some of the essential tools, techniques, or best practices for consistently monitoring your organization's online mentions and sentiments, ensuring you catch potential issues early?
For us, we really are old school. It's just classic old school monitoring comments. We can get notifications. I would love to hear from others regarding, how you monitor comments on social media. But there are tools through Meta that you can have moderation tools and automatic responses. Many times that just doesn't really work for us because we really like to tailor make our responses and let our residents know that we really are hearing them and we're able to respond with a very specific answer to their question. So, we really monitor a lot, and that includes having commitment to doing that monitoring. So it could be nights, weekends, holidays that, we're just periodically just checking to see if anybody has made a comment or if they have a question or a concern. And if it rises to the level that we feel that we need to respond, at that time. I honestly can say that I love responding to our residents in the evening or on a holiday or on a weekend because it really surprises them. I think it just kind of takes them off guard that somebody actually, somebody behind that screen somewhere is responding to them. So, for us, again, it's just all about just staying on top of it and trying to monitor. And sometimes that can be easier said than done. When you have a post that really takes off and you're having hundreds of comments, it really gets jumbled and it requires time, dedication to stay on top of what really needs and requires a response.
Yeah. So, I mean, there are a lot of like monitoring tools. And so for us, the social media tool that we use, it will give us updates, based off of someone going into the inbox. But it gets to be a little cumbersome when you have like posts with like 100 people. Right.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
it's a little
yeah.
difficult to do. So I have not quite found the tool. So, and this is maybe something we need to create, Jan. We need to go ahead and
Right.
create this
I
tool,
know.
right? But I feel like there needs to be a tool that does better with allowing us to have certain keywords on responses and comments. And we test a lot of tools over here at our company, and a couple of platforms attempted to do that, but it wasn't working. You could say, let us know if someone uses the word cake. And
Right.
we would get like 10 comments, people using the word cake, but we never got the notification on the
Uh,
software. So I think this is a sign. We need to create this tool, Jan, because
I like that. I like that. There's definitely a need out there. I mean, notifications, let's face it, are spotty at best. We're challenged getting notifications when, another page from within our own organization tags us to co-host an event. We've gotten to the point that we're so old school that we're not getting those notifications. I said, just send me an email and we'll dig into the event so that we can accept the co-host. So, for us, it just goes back to keeping a close eye on monitoring, and again, knowing in advance what we anticipate will really trigger people. The ones that are a surprise, which I could think of an example off the top of my head, but it's usually those that kind of catch you off guard, that you post something. Actually, I can think of one actually right now, Memorial Day Parade. We were working a holiday, and we posted just a 45-second reel, just recapping the holiday parade. And this year, for some reason, normally people are very happy, and we started having a few people making comments, nobody was there. Well, why weren't people there? And then they started kind of talking about, well, is it people aren't patriotic? Was it too hot? Do they need to start the parade a little bit earlier? So I was surprised that there were so many comments. It wasn't anything that we needed to jump in and start moderating at all, but it was a post that, immediately, I think it had, over 100 shares. It was viewed about 20,000 times, but had a lot more engagement than usual. And when something like that happens, you just have to be thinking, okay, why is it getting so much interest? And I need to pay closer attention to what people are
Yeah.
actually saying.
Yeah. Yeah, there are those things that just will catch you by surprise.
Mm-hmm.
There's those posts that you can consistently do certain posts, certain types of people speaking, but all of a sudden something hits in that algorithm. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And it just draws everyone to it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a fine line between engaging with criticism and feeding the trolls. How do organizations decide when it's appropriate to respond to negative comments and when it's better to simply disengage or block?
I strongly encourage everyone to have a social media policy and rules of engagement. We have both of those here with the City of Sarasota. Years ago, I worked with our city attorney on both of those documents, and we adhere very, very closely to those. Here in Florida, we are not going to block anyone. We make sure that we are adhering to sunshine laws. We are, very much paying attention to First Amendment rights, but we also, within our rules of engagement, we spell out behavior that just won't be tolerated. They do not have a right to be on social media and being abusive or threatening. So we really have things spelled out on our rules of engagement, and then we have those rules posted on our website and on all of our social media platforms. So the types of things that our social media policy, the rules of engagement, will ask the question, is the comment, is it completely off topic? I will say that I give a very broad berth, though, with people in their First Amendment rights. So if we post something about trees and somebody is going a little bit sideways, they're talking about development, we'll tend to let that go. Okay. If we post about trees and somebody suddenly is talking about things going on in Washington, D.C., okay, we may need to address that. And the way that we address it is if they are in violation of our rules of engagement, then if it's on Facebook or a platform where we can hide the comment, we hide it. We never delete comments. We always make sure that we have a record of the comment. And we also have a third party that's always backing up all of our social media platforms. So we look at is the comment or question, is it on topic? Is it profane? Is it offensive? Is it abusive? Is it threatening? In all of our years, I've only had one comment that was very much a very specific threat that I had to contact our police department about. And of course, then they came in and they had to take action on that. We keep our profanity filters on high on the platforms where we're able to do that. One thing that's really interesting, though, of course, we have people who have figured out how to use an asterisk or some other symbol to get the. You just go, okay, you reach a point with people like that you just figure, okay, others who are reading, and make no mistake, there are always people who are reading your comments. There are always people who are just out there, the lurkers. It really shines a light on those individuals' mindset. If that's how they want to comment, then so be it. So it's been very interesting, especially with the profanity filters. Again, I mentioned that we have ours where we can set on high, and I noticed that there is one word that Facebook does not like, and it's not on our profanity filter. It is the I word. And I started noticing it several years ago that all of a sudden we were having comments that were removed. And I would ask my team, why did you remove this? And it's the word idiot. And Facebook does not like the word idiot. And like, okay, so we have to go back in because that's not part of our social media engagement. It's not threatening. They're not being angry. If they call somebody an idiot from our standpoint, again, it just highlights their mindset. So, we really give a broad berth with people and really pay attention if anybody is being abusive, threatening of staff, things of that nature.
So, how can businesses learn from negative online experiences and potentially turn them into opportunities for an organization to grow, ensuring their online presence remains a positive asset?
For us, we always are responsive, and we work very hard to always respond, be polite, be professional, be friendly, and courteous. We will encounter those that they might be a frequent flyer, not necessarily a troll, that they like the dance. They want to get us to respond, and so we do, and then they come back with another comment or question. So in our office, we have a 3 and out rule. Okay, so we'll respond twice to an individual, and then the third time we ask them if they would like to, comment, talk with us offline, and we provide them with an email. And that's all done in the public forum so that people can see the email. If they want to email us as well, they certainly can. And we know that people are watching. People read these comments. Just our staff alone, the number of people who will tell me and make comments about, oh, I saw that you were engaging with that one person. That was really interesting how you responded. And then they just went silent. And usually that's what happens. I think, again, since we've been doing this, we've only had a couple people actually take us up on our offer to email us. And when they do, then we're able to help them with whatever the issue may be. And we're happy to do so. But we always want to respond and be kind and courteous. And that's what I would pass along to those in the private sector, to put the social in social media. If somebody is taking the time to pose a question on your social media, it could be something as simple as, what are your holiday hours? Make a point to respond to it, and thank the person for reaching out to you as well.
Yeah. I think social media, it's so hard to get people to take surveys, right? But man, they will easily go on social media and give you feedback. And I think that's the one good thing you can take from like a negative experience is they'll give you some feedback. I mean, not everything that they may not like can be changed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're not going to change the amount of taxes you collect because somebody doesn't like it, but you can get ideas and information. So we've had like, if our client doesn't open up on time, we've had people to comment about that. Hey, I drove over there and you weren't open and I couldn't, buy from you guys today because I had to run back on my break. And then that led to let's have an internal conversation. So if there's going to be something that happens and for some reason you guys have to open up late or adjust your hours, let us know. Give us a chance to go out on all the social media and make an update. Let us be able to go to Google and change the hours. So I think that gives brands and organizations a chance to make those changes that they couldn't. And then getting feedback from maybe services or products that aren't not, jiving with people. They're just not getting it. I think that's good feedback as well. So I don't think that every negative comment is not useful. There are some that aren't useful. But others are that good way that, hey, they, even though it says on the receipt, even though it says in person in their email, their invoice, let us know if there's a problem, and they chose not to let us know this way, at least they let us know some way and we can make a change. But I think one thing that has been consistent in what you said is you're responding. And you're allowing people to see that you respond. And I think that is a great part of this whole entire process, is that people get a chance to see that it's not just a brand and they're not just talking to a wall, like you said, that there's someone on the other end and they care. Again, can't change the mileage rate, can't change the name of the city just because you don't like Sarasota, but you can get a good understanding and feedback. And I can, that's the only particular part I can really appreciate about those negative comments.
And I think sometimes, people think that if we're a city employee or, on social media, that we know absolutely everything that is happening in the city, every location at that point in time. And, a lot of times we've got a lot of things cooking here. And so it is helpful if we receive a negative comment. Let's say if somebody makes a comment on a Monday morning and says, all the trash cans were overflowing at the beach. I can't believe how awful this is. I take that to heart. And we really did receive that message one time. And I sent it over to our public or our Parks and Rec director and just said, hey, FYI, this came through. And he immediately addressed it and said, okay, did our employees show up? Were they responding and picking up the garbage in a timely fashion? Do we need to add an extra person because it was, a really busy weekend? So I agree with you completely that, sometimes you get a negative comment that, we can turn it into a positive and actually, post back onto the page and say, hey, thank you very much for letting us know. We've shared that with the appropriate department.
I definitely agree with that one, being responsive. I really hope many more public and private sectors learn from what Jan is saying about putting the social in social media. So we've covered so much crucial ground today. To quickly recap, we explored how to identify online negativity, the critical first steps for response, proactive strategies for building a robust online reputation, and the delicate balance of engagement versus ignoring. So, thank you both so much for sharing invaluable expertise with us today, Ebony and Jan. For our listeners, we truly hope this episode has equipped you with the confidence and strategies to protect your brand's online presence effectively. To dive deeper into this topic and explore more marketing and tech insights, be sure to check out our other in for more thought leadership and insights on the future of marketing and technology. So, thanks for tuning in to SoldOutChat, and until then, keep innovating and achieving new heights.
Thanks.